Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in for a monthly economic update for the month of August, brought to you by the Economic Intelligence Unit through our platform Economy.lk. To start things off, we have an important news item. As you see here on this particular slide, the international bondholders have given Sri Lanka until mid-September for an ultimatum, emphasizing the need to implement a joint working framework for restructuring the country's international bonds. And this urgency stems from the necessity to align with IMF debt sustainability targets. And if you see on inflation, August inflation has come down to 0.9% from 2.4%. And as you see here on the graph, this is headline inflation at 0.5% in August. This deceleration in headline inflation is broadly in line with the projections of the central bank. Food inflation decelerated to 0.8% in August from 1.5% in July, and non-food inflation decelerated sharply to 0.4% in August from 2.8%. And now, if we move on to the Purchasing Managers Index, all three indices have resulted in above 50, which is a great sign to see in terms of expectations setting. So if you look at this particular slide over here, PMI manufacturing for July at 59.5, PMI services at 71.1, PMI construction at 62.9. Now, if you look at the PMI services and construction since July 2022, this is the highest number that is indicated by the PMI. So moving on to business sentiment. Now, I thought of highlighting business sentiment index as per the central bank and as per a private institution that has reported on this. Now, if you look at this particular graph that is by the central bank, we see business sentiment index slowly improving since 2023, last quarter of 2023. But if you move to the next slide by the private institution that has done a survey, it tells a different story, which says companies' businesses are to get worse 41%, and 40% still say the economy next 12 months to get worse. So differing opinions are coming about on the sentiment, economic sentiment. And if you move to the trade aspect, for the month of July, Export Development Board provided the data on this. And if you look at this particular graph here, total exports have improved slightly, total merchandise exports have improved, and total services exports have improved. And I have given a breakdown of these merchandise exports and services exports. And if you look at the merchandise exports, apparel and textile for the period January to July in 2024 has contracted slightly compared to 2023, whereas tea, rubber, coconut, and also if you look at boat building, petroleum products, and seafood have improved slightly. On services exports, you see ICT, BPM, and transport and logistics, and financial services have improved for the period Jan to July in 2024 compared to Jan to July in 2023. And if you look at the tourism sector, more than 1.3 million tourists have arrived in Sri Lanka as of end of August. And what you see is India is taking the top spot. And if you look at this particular slide, UK has overtaken Russia as the second largest source market. Now, the tourism industry has its challenges as well as opportunities. Existing airlines are expanding. And if you look at this particular slide, you see Indigo is to commence daily operations flights from Chennai to Jaffna. But of course, you also see this news item on long queues for on-arrival visa with the policy misstep with regards to visa issuance. Now, if you move on to the monetary sector, what we see is a 75 basis point reduction in monetary policy for this year alone, following 650 basis points reduction in 2023. And along with the policy reductions, what we see is credit to private sector slowly improving, and that is what you see in this particular graph. And moving on to the global economy, you see on this graph here, global growth is holding steady and global inflation is expected to settle at 2.8%. And on US recession, Goldman Sachs has reduced its probability of a US recession. And finally, in Maldives, recession and a crisis is brewing. And as you see on this graph, Fitch has downgraded Maldives to CC, indicating deteriorating foreign reserves and rising external debt obligations. So that's a little bit of an update for the month of August and what to look forward for in September. Obviously, presidential elections are happening on the 21st of September. So we here wish the very best for Sri Lanka, and thank you for tuning in. Do stay tuned in for the monthly economic update for the month of September. Thank you for tuning in.